down. We the talk around town. Alex threw the ball to Smokey for a touchdown. It's fourth down and you don't really want no more. We've been winning from the door. You should check the scoreboard. Check the scoreboard.
Welcome back to another episode of the Scoreboard. We're heading into week 10. Over half the season is done, and this week we got some interesting games. Smokey, how are you doing?
Oh, I am good. I am better than Giants fans right now because we saw Daniel Jones come right back and go right back out. He is out for the season, and it looks like it's going to be Tommy DeVito unless, who's there also? Barkley? I was seeing there's someone else, maybe it's Matt Barkley or whoever. But I think the season's over for the Giants, so at this point, they might as well tank and hope for maybe a new quarterback. You think they'll replace Daniel Jones after this season?
They paid him so much money just now, though. I mean,
I know.
If this like injury concerns become a season-spanning thing, you're in a pickle because now you paid the guy a lot of money. If you cut him and you try to move on, like, there's a lot of salary cap hits you're dealing with. And no one's taking that contract from a guy who just got hurt twice in one season.
Yeah, they made... I don't know, a lot of Giants fans are calling for it. They're just like, the cap hit, we don't care, get us a new quarterback. But yeah, also a lot of Falcons fans are saying that, and we will discuss that when we get to the Falcons because I'm pretty mad
we will
right
discuss.
now.
Yeah, we will discuss when we get to the Falcons. I assumed you have an opinion on that situation that you saw transpire last weekend.
Absolutely. I am not happy at all.
That's what I thought. Before we get into the picks here, NFL MVP ratings. The poll is out on the channel page, community page. You can go vote. To everyone, I know I've received a bunch of comments saying, oh, my favorite player isn't on there. YouTube only lets me put 4 options, and I know that at the moment there's like probably 8 players that are still very much legitimately in contention to win the MVP, which is ridiculous. It's an astonishing number of players still in it after 10 weeks, but I can only put 4, so I try to rotate it kind of. I put the 4 most like common names or like just new people that people have suggested. So if your favorite player isn't listed, you can leave me a comment and say that as well. But for me, I'm going to come out and say this again. Since week 1, the margin has closed, but I'm still giving it to Tua for the whole season. How about you?
Yeah, I'm sticking with Tua. I think Hurts has closed in right behind him now because that team seems to be getting better. I know they had a lot of close games that could have gone either way early in the season, and now the team itself is just getting better. It's not all thanks to Hurts, but people are going to start voting for Hurts if the team is constantly winning like that. So I think he's moving right into second. And then there's a bottleneck followed by Allen, who had a really bad game, and he may be out of the running very soon if he doesn't pick it up. And Mahomes is still winning. He's not playing exceptionally well. I think it's because he doesn't have a lot of pieces downfield to throw to because he's the big play guy. So he's kind of fallen off. I don't think it's all his fault. I think it's just the team around him. It's kind of like an Aaron Rodgers situation in Green Bay where they're not putting the pieces out there for him to throw to. And Goff is still making his way off this past week. So he is holding still right now at that bottleneck. We'll see who leaps out from here, but for right now, I'm going to stick with Tua.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes this week. We have a surprising amount of MVP candidates on bye this upcoming week. The Chiefs, the Dolphins, and the Eagles, all on bye weeks. And those are a lot of Super Bowl teams right there not playing this week. So maybe some other names can kind of put themselves back into the conversation again. We have this game we play, Smokey, and this is one, like I said before we started recording, I've seen something crazy just now, and that I'm going to reveal you as well looking at the odds. I'm going to have you pick the spread, right? Pick the biggest spread, which is a simple game. You have to tell me what is the biggest spread of this week, basically. And that's all. Before I say more, I will let you make your pick first.
Well, this is another close week, in my opinion. A lot of these teams are evenly matched, a lot like last week, but there is only one game, well, maybe 2, if you consider the Bengals and the Texans, but the Texans are playing really well and winning a lot of games, and the Bengals are just now getting back to Bengals form, so maybe it's not as big as one would think. The only game that really stands out right now is the Cowboys and the Giants.
That's right. That's the one. You got it. Now here's the bonus question. Guess the spread. The exact number.
If they plan on Tommy DeVito starting, I'm giving the Cowboys, oh man, a huge number. I'm going to say 12 points.
They got 16 points.
Wow.
I believe, don't hold me to this, I believe that is the biggest spread I have seen in the NFL ever.
Maybe so. Dude, that's college numbers there.
That is a college spread.
Wow.
That is a crazy number. 16
And they
points.
may cover. That is the Giants are right now. They may cover that.
I'm not betting on it. They might.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not betting on it, though. That's a crazy number to me. All the other ones are below double digits, by the way. That's the only double-digit spread, and it's 16. That is crazy. But we are kicking it off here on Thursday with Tank Bowl. Yeah, this is a big Tank Bowl, actually. Panthers and Bears.
Yeah, do you want to go through our tally from last week?
Oh, yeah, please do. Anytime you remember to do it, it's probably bad news for me.
Well, actually, no, this went in your favor, actually. We only disagreed on one game, and that was the Bucs and Texans, and the Bucs found a way to lose that game. They were winning that game, and I thought I was safe. I was like, yes, I'm going to get another point, all the way up until the very end, and they pulled the Falcons and choked it away at the very end. That defense is horrible. So, Texans ended up winning that one. You got an extra point. 10 total for you, 9 total for me, bringing the overall total 78 for me and 82 for you. So I got 4 points to make up.
Can we consider the Ohio State curse broken, or is it too early?
I think it's too early.
Okay. It might be.
I think so. I mean, but it may be broken for sure. A lot of people have a lot of faith. Texans fans are extremely happy with CJ Stroud. They think they found their guy, which I would say give it 3 seasons just to be sure. But as of right now, they are extremely happy with CJ Stroud, yes.
Yeah, that's fair. I have optimism in that that the curse might be broken, because I'm seeing Stroud do all of this legitimately as a quarterback. Like, he's throwing the ball, he's passing the ball, he's winning, and he's doing a great job of it. Justin Fields, when he was running circles around people in his rookie season or second year, I didn't consider that, because that is not sustainable quarterback play, and the NFL has proven that time and time again, that by itself is not sustainable quarterback play. And CJ Stroud's coming in as a rookie, and he's a pocket passer pretty much. He can move a little bit if he has to. It's not what he prefers to do, but he's passing, and he's doing a really, really good job winning in a way that quarterbacks have been winning in the NFL since the 60s or 70s.
Yeah.
So he's doing a good job. That makes me optimistic that the curse might be broken, but I also agree with you in that we need more time to say, because it has been a long-standing curse.
Yeah, it really has. So it may all fall apart soon, but you're absolutely right. CJ Stroud is a great pocket passing quarterback. I saw this in college. Everybody that only watches NFL is absolutely shocked by this. But if anybody who watched the playoffs last season and saw the Ohio State versus Georgia game knew that CJ Stroud is absolutely something special. And he actually used his legs a little bit in that game, because they were so afraid of his passing that they kept loading up the backfield and leaving holes wide open up on the line, so he used it a little bit then. He can run a little, but he's not by any means a running quarterback. He is absolutely a great passing quarterback. If he can just sustain it over a long period of time in the NFL, we'll see about that.
That is the question, but so far it's looking good. Speaking of other, Ohio State and or rookie quarterbacks here, we have the Bears hosting the Panthers in the Tank Bowl on Thursday night. What do you think about this?
Yeah, the old Alabama versus Ohio State matchup. Yeah, that's goes quite a ways back, and let's see. I don't know. I haven't checked lately to see if Justin Fields is ready to play. I'm kind of hoping for fantasy purposes that he is. But I think this game could be a lot closer if it is still Tyson Bagent starting, because Tyson Bagent is nothing spectacular. He's definitely no CJ Stroud, even though he can run an offense. You know, he can put up points. It's not a Tommy DeVito situation. He is actually quite decent. And I'm hoping that Justin Fields gets back here for my pick, because the Panthers may actually be tanking. They're looking at their play, like they have their quarterback in place. They expect him to be there for at least the next 3 to 4 to 5 years. but they need a lot of other pieces, especially offensive line. They need pass catchers. They need a lot on that Panthers offense for sure. We'll see if they get it, and if they're actively tanking, I have to go with the Bears here, and I'm assuming that Justin Fields comes back for this one. I'll take the Bears at home.
This is a difficult game to pick because it is a legitimate tank bowl. I'm gonna go. See, not knowing what the quarterback situation looks like for Chicago, I will take the Panthers in this one. I think this is one they can sort of sneak in under the radar and upset the Bears, if we can even call it an upset. Both teams kind of bad, but I think Bryce Young's shown some promise. Of course, he had a big step back just now against the Colts, got picked off 3 times, which is, the ups and downs you'd expect of a rookie quarterback. But we've seen what he can do when he went and beat C.J. Stroud head-to-head just a week prior. And I'm just going to go with my guru hat, and I'm going to say he beats Ohio State quarterback, so he's going to go beat Justin Fields as well. But could go either way, but I'm just going to trust the Panthers in this one. Colts and the Patriots.
This game is just as tough. It really is, because the Colts want to win. Like I've said on the previous few shows, Gardner Minshew is not tanking. He's not having any of that. He's out there playing his heart, trying to get this team to win. And actually, they're not that far below 500, so this could be a salvageable season if everything goes right. I mean, right now, they're not really in one of the seeds for the playoffs, but if they continue to win, they could. And this is a winnable game because the Patriots have been horrible all year, and I think Mac Jones may be on his last season as a starter there for the Patriots. But then again, it's Bill Belichick, so who knows? He's really stubborn, and he might just ride the guy on out through 2 contracts and just continue to lose for no apparent reason, although he does love winning. And Robert Kraft might have something to say about that, but we'll see. Right here, I think the Colts are just an overall better team at this time. I'll be taking the Colts on the road.
Give me the Colts as well, and while Mac Jones has not really improved as we thought he would or should, I think he's one of the least to blame pieces of this team for the record they're currently at. I mean, this roster is completely devoid of talent the way we're looking at it right now. Can you name a Patriots receiver on the active roster?
Juju Smith-Schuster.
There you go. There's one out of his prime. I might have been able to get that from the back of my mind. Kendrick Bourne is out on IR. I would have probably had to resort to Hunter Henry or something if we counted tight ends.
Who's having a horrible year also.
Yeah, this offense stinks. This entire offense is bad. The defense is riddled with injuries to all their most important players. They're literally the 2 best defensive players were out early for the season with injuries early in the season. And this is a major rebuild situation for the Patriots. For them, it's about stacking up as much draft capital as you can, and probably redrafting about half your roster. And I would personally give Mac Jones another season with a competitive roster, because I think he has the capability to do it. I think he landed with a competitive roster the year he took over as a rookie. By that point, a lot of the players from the Super Bowl runs were still around, and he made the Pro Bowl as a rookie, and then everyone's retired and got hurt, and suddenly nothing works. But I don't think there's a quarterback in the league that would elevate this team to make the playoffs. I don't even think Aaron Rodgers would, because this team is far less talented than even the Jets. Which is all to say that I'm picking the Colts to win this one as well. They won very much on the backs of their defense last week against the Panthers, but I think they can pull it together on offense a little bit more this week and win a close game. I think it's not going to be a big shootout or a big blowout. It's going to be a close one, but the Colts come on top. The Browns at the Ravens.
Yeah, this is a good showdown for the AFC North here. Both of these teams are on somewhat of a hot streak. I mean, with Deshaun Watson back in the lineup, this team is good. They beat the life out of the Cardinals. Yeah, they're going to get Kyler Murray back. We'll talk about them later, but the Browns forced them to bring Kyler Murray back in this game because that defense just completely shut them out, and it was horrible. It was just a beatdown from the word go. The Ravens, on the other hand, are on a hot streak also, and one would even argue a bigger hot streak than the Browns. They're not doing it through the air by any means. Although Mark Andrews is having a wonderful season, that's about the only pass catcher that's getting any work out there. They're running. Gus Edwards is running, and the litany of backs, even though these guys were all backups, they are doing work on the ground, and that's a credit to that offensive line there in Baltimore. This is still a tough pick because who actually is better when it comes down to it? I guess I'm going to go with the quarterback who hasn't had as much troubles lately, and it's also in Baltimore, so I'll be taking the Ravens at home.
I will also take the Ravens to win at home, but this is potentially a very dangerous game for them because the Browns have a suffocating defense against the run, and if that doesn't work out for the Ravens, they might have to kind of think on their feet. And when that happens, usually we've seen them show weakness when their run gets consistently stopped and they are forced to pass. Lamar Jackson does have the tendency to throw an ill-advised pass here and there, but altogether, this offense is looking too good. And by the way, the Ravens defense is also sneakily one of the best in the league. I mean, they're shutting people down, getting the ball back to that suffocating offense. And when you're out there with your defense, for 45 minutes in a game with that time of possession, and they're running, you get tired out. And that's a very deadly combination of offense and defense the Ravens put together there. I think they get the win and keep it going. And they might find themselves on top of the AFC after this week with the Dolphins and Chiefs both on bye week this week. They have a good chance to make a big step up, and I think they get it done here in the division. Texans and the Bengals.
Yeah, I don't think the Texans' hype train is going to continue rolling after this one because the Bengals are back to Bengals form as they just put one over on the Bills in a great fashion there. I will say something about the Texans, though. They may have a new kicker, and he used to be a running back. Dare Ogunbowale had a wonderful game kicking the ball. Somehow, who knew he was a kicker? But hey, it worked out. Kayemi Fairburn may be replaced. I doubt it, but still, it was pretty cool to see a running back out there kicking for the team. And the Texans won in that giant comeback, and I think a lot of that is due to the Bucs defense. But this is the Bengals, and we know when the Bengals are on their game, they are a top 3 to 4 team in the entire league. The Texans are still young. They're going to get better if it's not a curse. I'm going to be taking the Bengals at home.
Yeah, I agree with you once again. I'll take the Bengals. I mean, how often does it happen that they just lose the first 2, maybe 3 games of the season and they look all out of whack and there's no chemistry with Burrow and his receivers, and they always just come back and they're always still good anyway. I don't know why they start that slow to begin with, but they always do seem to catch themselves. Now, the Texans looked very good. I mean, C.J. Stroud looked amazing, and this potentially is one of the games of the week here. I'm penciling this in as maybe one of the best games in that first time window. If the Texans can play the way they did, and that offense can play the way it did, this will be a great game. Still see the Bengals coming out on top here. Niners and the Jaguars.
Tough game to pick. It really is, because the Niners are coming off of a losing streak before their bye. But they're coming off of a bye, and you expect a Shanahan team to have regrouped, and they're going to come out swinging and be much better, right? Because it's just not like Shanahan to continue a losing streak like they have seen. Jaguars are also coming off a bye, and the Jaguars were heating up before that bye. Makes it really tough. I feel like whoever I pick here, I'm going to be wrong. Just the other team's going to win, because even though we expect the 49ers to be the best team in the league, they haven't shown that lately. So how long is that going to continue? And the Jaguars are heating up, like I said. So it kind of makes this a difficult pick. I think whoever scores last is probably going to win this game, because 49ers are supposed to have a great defense, but the Jaguars have a good offense. And Trevor Lawrence wants to throw his name into the MVP running, and this is going to be where he has to show it if he's going to get his name in there against what should be a really good defense. I think I'm just giving 3 points to the home team and say that the 49ers continue their losing streak. I'll take the Jaguars at home.
Both teams come off a bye week. It was the perfect timing for the Niners. Not a great time bye week for the Jaguars. Hopefully they're reset, talking about the Niners here, kind of figured out what their issue was, and spoilers, it's largely defensive play calling or lack thereof. I'm not convinced that this is something that's going to be fixed by the addition of Chase Young, even though it would be good to get some more sacks on the quarterback, get some more pressure up front. A lot of the issue actually comes from the secondary and pass coverage that we've seen. It's just uncreative, vanilla stuff that Steve Wilkes has been calling, and it's in stark contrast to what Niners had for years before then with the more aggressive defensive coordinators. I'm very skeptical about that scheme changing for the better within this season, which is not good. But I think this will take more. It might take a change of system, might take a change of defensive coordinator if this keeps up as it has. And given that, I can't be that optimistic anymore. Like what I've seen, 3 teams in a row expose this defense so badly. I have to, for the first time this year, pick against the Niners. I'm taking Jacksonville because they also, you said it, they won. I mean, they keep winning. They have locked up or the lead in the division now. They are fighting for the 1 seed in the AFC with a win this week. After a slow start themselves, they're looking good. Their trajectory is facing up. The Niners are very much kind of plateauing or facing down. Something has to be figured out defensively. Hopefully all the injured players are kind of coming back at 100%. But for now, the potential is there. They're the better team and they can win if they play well. But for now, I can't trust them to do it against Jacksonville. So I'll take the Jags. Saints and Vikings.
I'm probably going to say this on all of them, except for 1 or 2, but this is a tough game to pick because we thought, I basically called it. I said your season is over for the Vikings after Kirk Cousins went down. But no, their backup gets hurt, and they bring out Josh Dobbs, and Josh Dobbs looks like a hero out there. And he basically, in that second half, just ran right over the Falcons' defense, which should have been a good defense, but we'll get to that later. The Saints, I can't really trust them, and I don't really know how good this offense is going to continue to be under Josh Dobbs, because Josh Dobbs is not like a world beater. I did predict early in the season that he was going to have this Geno Smith type season like he had last year, and just come back from the bench and do something great. I don't expect them to be in the Super Bowl or anything, but he's playing very well. Much better than anyone thought that Josh Dobbs could be. He hasn't won games like this, which he wasn't winning a ton with the Cardinals, so I guess we should wait to actually say things like that. But he was a really good quarterback at Tennessee, won them quite a few games. I don't know. I really don't want to trust the Saints here. I want to say that being in Minnesota, the Vikings are going to have the advantage here. I know the Saints are coming off of a win, but it was Chicago with Tyson Bagent, Taysom Hill's out there. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with it. I'll just go with the momentum, which, if you can call it that. I'm gonna pick the Vikings to continue this miracle season.
All right. Yeah, it does feel kind of like a miracle season at this point with all that's happened, and Josh Dobbs coming up, like probably learning about 10% of the playbook in 1 week and just going out there and doing that, playing backyard football and winning. I have to think that after a week of seeing that, the Saints defense should be able to figure this out somehow and prepare for what's about to come and get this together, because the Vikings are not supposed to be as good as they are now without Kirk Cousins. I mean, he's been the central part to that offense. And say what you want, he's been a way above average, very serviceable quarterback in the NFL for a long time for the Vikings. I don't trust it again for another week. I'm putting my faith in just what I know about football and that the Saints will figure this out and be able to stop this offense, this gimmicky makeshift offense, and I'll take the Saints to win this one, actually. Which, of course, would be detrimental for the Falcons' effort, losing to the Vikings and immediately Saints beat the same team. That's never good. But I think with another week to prepare, they should be able to do it. So I'm taking the Saints here. Packers and the Steelers.
Well, the Packers got a win, and they didn't look great getting that win over a team without their star quarterback. So I'm not going to give them a lot of credit for that win. It was still not a great game by any means. Jordan Love doesn't look like a world beater out there at all, and their star wide receiver is now hurt. Apparently he's had several different injuries, so I'm doubting he'll be out there. They'll probably go to Romeo Doubs as their number one, but the Steelers are one of those teams that just figure out a way to win even when it looks down. They actually beat Will Levis and the Titans last week on Thursday night, so I think they have a little bit of momentum coming into this. I don't think they're just a ton better than the Packers, but I did pick them to win that division, and I'm going to say that Kenny Pickett, even though this didn't work out last week, Kenny Pickett to George Pickens, he's not throwing downfield because of his injuries so much, but if he's feeling better this week, I think that is a connection we will see more. But if not, you still have DJ out there to throw to, and he is a proven slot receiver. It'll work out. I'm picking the Steelers at home.
Speaking of, you brought this up with the Rams and their starting quarterback. The Rams are signing Carson Wentz, just a little news
really?
piece.
I didn't see that.
In there as their backup. So that might lead to an interesting game in the future if he's getting to start for that team eventually, depending on what happens with Matthew Stafford. But as for this one, I'm going to also go with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They had a convincing win. I picked the Titans last week. I thought they would win. I think Will Levis would continue what he did against the week before. Wasn't able to quite do that. Kenny Pickett looked alright. Steelers win scrappy games. I mean, they keep winning the scrappy games, and that's a big reason of why Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season. And even though they're in the toughest division in football, it looks like he's on the way of having yet another winning season, somehow, some way. And that, I think, continues this week, as the Packers are a pretty weak team. They've been struggling a lot, and beating teams such as Matthew Stafford-less Rams is not exactly a feat of strength. Steelers win at home against the Packers. Titans and the Bucks.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of this one, because Will Levis had kind of a down game, especially compared to his first game there against the Falcons, but it may just be that the Falcons defense is not as good as they should be, and once again, we'll talk about them in just a minute. But the Titans, I don't know, is Will Levis for real? I think he's going to be something great in the NFL eventually, but he's going to have down games like this. It's only his second game, and he lost to the Steelers, which is no big shame in that. On the other side, the Bucks defense is absolutely horrible to allow a comeback like that to a rookie quarterback, and it might just happen again. It might happen again right here. The Bucks are probably going to come out. Baker's going to play hero ball. They're going to get up a few points because this offense absolutely can score. They have the weapons to do that, and Baker's going to run around the field and wave his arms and scream, and then probably let the Titans come back at the end of the game when Will Levis heats up and throws for a few touchdowns. Maybe they learned something last week against the Texans. I don't want to put all my faith in the Bucks, but it is in Tampa Bay, so I guess I'm going to lead toward the Bucks here and take them at home.
Tough game to pick. I want to not make the same mistake as last week, but then at the same time, the Bucks are very shaky. I'm going to take Tennessee to win on the road. Purely because you took the Bucks, I think, because this is a coin flip game to me. I don't really see a favorite here. Yeah, if Levis plays the way he did in his first start, he's going to win the game. If he plays the way he did in the second start, he might lose the game. I might not be looking so good. I feel the teams overall, top to bottom, roster-wise, were evenly matched. I think Levis just has the higher potential to be like a really good quarterback or have a really good performance on any given day than Baker. Baker's maybe more consistent, but we also know he's prone to mistakes. I'll take the Titans kind of because I want them to win. I want Will Levis to have some good games because he's an exciting player, and I hope we see him in the NFL for a long time. That's why I'll take Tennessee here. Falcons and the Cardinals. There you go. There's a free win for you, I hope.
Yeah, well, we can't count on that now, can't we? Because we face the quarterbacks coming back out of nowhere, even, and losing, because this defense is not a top 10 defense. And I think this all comes down to coaching. A lot of this comes down to coaching. Arthur Smith tries to put together some weird, gimmicky, I'll even say it's gimmicky, offense where he's like, I got all these star players on the field. I'm not going to use them. I'm going to use guys that just walked in off the streets, guys that came out of nowhere. Let's throw Caleb Huntley out there or something, you know. I don't know, man. I feel like he's ruining Desmond Ridder's career at this point because that kid should be out there playing. No one in the world believes that Taylor Heineke is taking the Falcons through the Super Bowl other than Arthur Smith, because that's Arthur Smith's boy, and he wants to see that, rather than what he should be doing is developing your young quarterback. If you're going to go this route, I hope that Desmond Ridder eventually has one of those Geno Smith seasons somewhere down the road on another team and proves that he can win games if developed correctly. And I don't think Arthur Smith is the guy to do that. I'm really mad at Arthur Smith, and I'm thinking he may be losing his job at the end of the season if he continues to do what he's doing. You don't draft all these top 10 picks back to back to back to not use them. You got Bijan Robinson, who could likely be a top 3 running back in the entire league, but we'll never know because Arthur Smith is not going to use him in that fashion. We'll just throw Tyler Algier there, a 6th or 7th round, whatever he was. We'll throw him out there and let him get all the work. We have maybe the best tight end in the entire league. We use him. We're going to use John O. Smith because I knew him from back when he played on the Texans. So my guys get the work over these superstars. But on the other hand, this is the Cardinals. Kyler Murray is coming back because Clayton Tune got absolutely stomped out in that game. But that probably means that the Falcons are going to lose because we don't know how to handle quarterback changes, apparently. And I don't believe in Arthur Smith. It's starting to be like a Matt Nagy situation to me. I'm really almost done with Arthur Smith. He's going to have to show something right here. I'm picking you guys. I'm picking the Falcons one more time. But if they blow this game, I am done with the Falcons for the rest of the season. I don't care who they play. You have the easiest schedule in the league this year, and you're blowing all these games. And, man, I'm done. I'm picking the Falcons. I don't want to, actually, at this point, but the Falcons need a win. It's the Cardinals. Should be a win. They're probably tanking. Who knows? I'll take the Falcons on the road.
Easiest schedule and easiest division, mind you,
absolutely,
in the league. Even though it's very likely that even the very mediocre team here is going to like win 8-9 games, I think if the Falcons fail to make the playoffs this year, I think that is a fireable offense for a head coach, given the roster being by far the most talented in the league, and him being not a first-year head coach anymore, and you got your second-year quarterback who's shown promise. For a lot of reasons, I believe that is a fireable offense, and that just might happen. Then the question, of course, will be, who would you rather have? Do you want an offensive head coach? Do you want like an experienced guy? Do you want a young guy who doesn't have the sort of the pre-assumptions about the players that he knows from other teams? Could be a debate for down the line, but I will actually pick the Falcons to win this game and get back to 500. What this division comes down to will be the divisional games, right? It's going to be the Falcons playing Tampa and playing New Orleans. That's what will decide this division of a bunch of teams that are kind of just bumbling around the league, not really winning or not really losing, not really doing much of anything special. So the playoffs are very much up for grabs, and the Falcons should still, try their best to get up in that spot. But the divisional games is going to be what matters. However, games like this that come around are must-win games, especially against what is currently the worst team in the league. Cardinals at this point are holding the first overall pick, and this is a game you have to win if you're Atlanta. And I think they do get it done here. But if not, then the seat could be hot for Arthur Smith. I do agree with you on that one. Lions and the Chargers.
A tough game, man. This is a tough game because both of these teams are really good right now. The Chargers had a really rocky start, but they seem like they are getting it figured out, right? Much like the Bengals, the Chargers are getting better. They are, I won't say peaking yet, but they are getting better. They're heating up. It's like NBA Jam. He's heating up. He hits another one, he's going to be on fire. The Lions are good. The Lions are really good. The Lions might be a Super Bowl contestant this season. And I hate it for the Chargers because I really like the team, and I think Herbert's a really good quarterback. And I think this may be a huge win if they can pull it off. But the Lions just have too much going for them right at this time. That defense is really good. The offense is above average. It's decent. It's really good. I'll say it's really good. Jared Goff has been a serviceable quarterback when he is in a good situation. And here he is. They have the weapons. I'm going to pick the Lions on the road, but I could see this game going either way.
It's going to be a great game, hopefully. I will also take the Lions. You said that the Chargers aren't quite peaking. I don't think the Chargers have peaked in the last 3 years. Like, ever since Justin Herbert, like, they have, because with that kind of quarterback and the kind of defense they have, at least nominally, a true peak for the Chargers would look like winning multiple playoff games. That's the kind of aspirations they ought to have, given the personnel and their young quarterback. But they've never come close to it. They still haven't won a playoff game with Justin Herbert somehow, and it's odd how it's repeating the same thing with Phillip Rivers, right? He's been there for so many years. It's been so good, and he's been surrounded by great players. They just never really won big games. We rarely made the playoffs, and if they did make the playoffs, they just didn't really win. So I don't know what's the issue with this whole organization. Maybe it needs a coaching revamp on the horizon as well. If they can win this one, it'd be a big statement game, and they absolutely need it for that AFC wildcard spot, but I don't see it. I think the Lions are going to be too strong. So Detroit wins at LA. Add on to that the Chargers and Rams, any LA team usually doesn't really get home field advantage, even if they play at home. Just not that many football fans in that town, so the Lions come up with the win. Giants and the Cowboys, we've seen this spread.
Yeah. Staley may actually be facing the same situation as Arthur Smith if he has another losing season. But yeah, this is not going to be a contest. Maybe they could have put up a fight if they had Daniel Jones out there, but he is out for the season. It's looking really grim and dim for them. I think this is going to be one of those 28-3 type games. It doesn't matter if it's Barkley or not Barkley. Who is the backup? It's not Matt Barkley, is it, for the Giants?
I don't know about
they had
other
somebody
backups. I know
that they brought
Taylor.
in. Who did they? Well, Tyrod Taylor's out, of course, also, and Tommy DeVito's been starting, which was their third stringer. But I thought they brought in somebody else since they had all the injuries. I don't think it matters. Yeah, I don't think it matters in this game. The defense is going to rule for the Cowboys, and the offense will do whatever they want because they'll be given enough time to. They'll control the speed of the game. The Cowboys will win this one at home.
Yeah, I agree with that. Man, I really want to pick the Giants here because of the guru thing. But it's just gonna be giving away a free point, right? Like the way they're currently looking. It doesn't seem like the kind of game that would result in an upset. Of course, the Cowboys once again a masterclass in losing the game last second against Philadelphia there somehow. They're gonna come back and beat up little brother here. I'm pretty sure Giants are not looking good. So Dallas wins, not much to be said. But if the Giants win, if they win, let it be known that I at least brought up the possibility this week. So that would count in my favor as a guru, at least slightly, if not fully, because I'm not putting my money where my mouth is. But I bring up the possibility. Still picking the Cowboys, though. The Washingtons at the Seahawks.
Okay, so I just looked it up. Also, Matt Barkley has signed. So that'd be pretty cool to see two Barkleys out there together, though, right? Yeah. I thought maybe I was making it up because I'm like, well, Saquon Barkley is there, so I don't think it's Matt Barkley, but yeah, they did actually sign Matt Barkley, so
that's cool. I didn't hear that.
Yeah, we may see that. Commanders and the Seahawks. The Commanders have proven they can win games against bad defenses. Luckily, they're going up against one. I know the Seahawks have been the Legion of Boom in the past, and they're supposed to be this great defense, but they haven't been that over the past few years. The Legion of Boom is long gone. Now, I've said many times that Pete Carroll always finds a way to win games. But here lately, it seems like that narrative is kind of taking a downward spiral turn here. I don't think the Seahawks are nearly as good as their record. I've said that several times also, but it's true and it's playing out on the field. I think the Commanders might roll into Seattle and actually put one over on them. They're coming off of a huge loss to the Ravens. This is absolutely possible. If the Commanders are going to make a push for the playoffs and maybe even have multiple teams from that division making the playoffs once again, this is where you need to prove it. Against the Seahawks in Seattle. It's going to be tough. It's going to be very loud. But I think the Commanders can put something together here. And like we noted last week, their defense is not as good as it was. They lost their key pieces. But still, they have Daron Payne and other guys out there who can make a difference. I'm going to pick the Commanders, silence the Seahawks in Seattle.
I sincerely hope that what you're saying happens. However, I cannot pick it. I think the Commanders completely sold out to the tank on the trade deadline. They traded away all their defensive assets. Like, imagine being the defensive line coach for the Commanders and coming into the building one day and you like just Montez Sweat is gone, Chase Young is gone. Like, what am I going to do this weekend? Like, I don't have any pass rush sets to call because all my edge rushers are gone. I still understand why they did that, but I mean, thank you, I guess, for Chase Young. I don't think this is a team that is dedicated to competing for anything this year with that kind of move. Of course, they looked good last week. For some reason, they didn't have necessarily a very strong opponent, but I think Seattle's going to put one over on them. With those two, and the Commanders won last week, I would have said, okay, maybe. But they're not putting themselves in a position to win. And I think, Seattle's going to get it done on them. I think they're just a slightly better team, and they're at home, so they're winning. The Jets and the Raiders.
Tank Bowl. The Jets looked as bad as the Seahawks did last week. The Chargers, maybe, like I said, the Chargers are heating up, so maybe that's a symptom of that. But that defense was not holding the Chargers for anything. I don't know that the Jets are ready to tank. It probably would be nice, though, to go ahead and get you some decent high round draft picks, whatever I'm trying to say there, for Aaron Rodgers when he comes back. Maybe some pass catchers. Maybe he does have some decent pass catchers out there that were highly drafted, but you could always use more, right? That's what he's always wanted. That's why he left Green Bay in the end, right? Because he never got any of those guys. Maybe add a few more to him. But either way, I think the Raiders are worse than the Jets overall, even though they're coming off of a big win over the Giants, and the Jets are coming off of a big loss to the Chargers. I still think the Jets are a better team, especially with Aiden out there at quarterback. That was just a symptom of the Giants maybe being the worst team in the entire league, is why the Raiders got a big win there. And a lot of their pieces want to leave. Devontae Adams, I think he wants to play for the Raiders. He doesn't want to play for this regime in the end, so he's the squeaky wheel there. Maybe they'll start throwing some passes over to him. I don't think Jimmy G's coming back anytime soon. I'm going to pick the defense to win this one for the Jets on the road.
See, we kind of assumed the Raiders were going to beat the Giants with the whole new head coach, is a new bump. But isn't the bump a 2-game bump though?
It is true.
2-game bump, right?
Think about that. Yeah,
so we had the Giants. Okay, nothing much to see here. The Jets will pose more of a challenge. And as for Tank Bowl, I mean, both of those teams are 500 or like a half a game off of 500. They look like they're tanking, but somehow the results don't necessarily agree with it. Somehow, the Jets are one game away from a wild card spot at the moment in the AFC.
Oh wow!
A single game.
Another 4-4, but I didn't know they were that close. Maybe
purely getting strung along by the hope of Aaron Rodgers, we're actually making it back for the playoffs. Still a long shot for them to get there without him, but they're holding on to it for now. And if they have a chance to have a winning record after week 10 here, if they beat the Raiders, which is entirely possible. However, I'm actually sticking with what you always sell, which is the 2-game bump. I'll give this one to Las Vegas, to the Raiders. I think they get it done. I think their defense played with a new vigor. I think the offense played well against the Giants. The reason I think they win is because the Jets just don't score more than 10 points a whole lot. this season. And I think the Raiders are going to score maybe 13, maybe 16, and it's probably going to be enough because their defense in turn is also pretty decent. They'll get to Zach Wilson early and often. Raiders beat the Jets for the 2-game bump. And then Monday night we got the Broncos and Bills.
Yeah, I can't believe I didn't even go with one of my own trends there. But here we go. Bills and Broncos. One of these teams should be way better than the other team. I don't know that that's really that true right now. The Bills are going to be at home, so there's a tick in their favor. They're overall a better team than the Broncos right now, but the Broncos were actually somewhat heating up with the bye. They were looking better than they did early in the season, that's for sure. Still not a fan of Sean Payton. I don't want to really get behind the Broncos because of Sean Payton, but I still think Russell is a decent quarterback who has some good years left in him down the road. Not going to be here, though. I think the Bills need this as a get-right game, especially being at home. You have to come back from those losses if you're going to throw your name into the hat for a deep playoff run. And you should be. The team is that good. The team is that talented. You have all the pieces to do that. You have to go out there and beat the Broncos, so I will take them at home.
Yeah, I agree with that. Bills win, and Bills have to win. Losing to the Bengals in a hard-fought game and terrible officiating, as we've seen so much this season, fine, that can happen. Losing an opener to the Jets and throwing 3 interceptions, not great. Losing to the Patriots the way that they did is inexcusable. So these Bills are certainly good for the occasional hiccup. And given how the AFC is looking, this is not a guaranteed playoff team right now. I just said the Jets are a game away from the wild card spot. That's the spot the Bills are currently occupying, the seventh seed. Anything can happen here the way that it's looking. So Bills got to get it together and win those games that they have to win. And the Broncos at home, that is a must-win game. If you're Buffalo, you're on national TV, you better get it done. I'll put my faith in him. I think Josh Allen will be able to do it. He's playing extremely well. But the results haven't been what we expected them to be for this team yet. And it's got to start now. So Bills win, but Bills win, question mark. I don't love what they've been doing so far this year, but I'm going to give them that faith one more time for now. So that is the NFL schedule here. We have the Chiefs, the Rams, Dolphins, and the Eagles on bye. Guess all those teams are more or less fine with that. How many games do we have split agreements here?
5.
I know I picked the 5 games. Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. The Jets and Raiders, Commanders, Seahawks, the Titans, Bucks, the Saints, Vikings, and the Panthers, Bears.
Yeah, I feel good about all except the Panthers pick in hindsight.
I don't feel good about the Jets now that I went against my own trend there. I feel like the Raiders probably win that one.
The 2-game bump.
Yeah. I mean, I don't feel really safe about many of these, though. The Bears could easily blow it, and so could the Vikings. If they're not for real. I mean, they have pieces to win there if Josh Dobbs can continue to do what he did last week. Yeah.
They all could easily blow it. That is certainly true.
I'm looking at the playoff picture, and actually the Commanders are on the bubble right now. So if they do win this, they will knock the Vikings down. I guess unless they both win, and somebody's going to get knocked down. The Seahawks are probably taking a loss, so they'll drop.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
They might, but I think they get it. I think they'll probably be able to recover.
Yeah, 49ers are in the 3 seed right now, so hopefully that's not not a.
With Seattle losing, they took the lead again in the division, so that was important. By the way, I messaged this to you during the game. The entire NFC West scored a combined 6 points this last weekend. That is the lowest score for a full combined division in recorded NFL history.
Wow.
6 points.
Oh, luckily the 49ers were on bye, huh?
Yeah, they weren't playing. Exactly. That was the most valuable contribution because they're the only team that didn't lose last week. So the bye week is actually was actually a big win for them in that sense.
Oh man, that's not looking good for my predictions because I predicted that. What did I say? 4 teams or 5 teams from the 2 Western divisions will make the playoffs?
5 Western teams.
I mean, that was a bold prediction, so
teams.
you don't expect them to come true, but it's something that would be crazy if it did.
Was.
But
I gave you 4 because we expected the Niners, Seahawks, Chiefs, and Chargers to all contend, but the 5th one I never really bought into.
Yeah, right now it's looking like we have just 3, huh? Yeah,
3. Fourth one on the cusp with the Chargers. They got to pick it up a little bit.
Yeah, see, I expected the Chargers to be much better. Did not expect them to have such a rocky start. And Rams with Matt Stafford should be way better than what they are, but maybe they'll pull it together after the bye. And they are
on a bye this week. Yeah. Well,
I think it's all.
Got some time to regroup at least.
And I expected the Broncos to be much better. I think the Raiders are a lost cause. They were the odd man out in the first place. So I really expected that the Broncos would pull off the old trend of the post-hype sleeper and actually do something this season. But right now, it's not looking good.
Hopping over real quick to the college world because we've been doing that. I guess I don't have to really ask you, but the Georgia train is rolling. Though the train's rolling, maybe small bump in the road in a game that was closer than you maybe wanted it to be.
Yeah, well, here's the thing that I've been saying. That was probably the best Missouri team that we've seen since 2013 or whatever. I think it was their second season in the SEC where they were actually really good. I think they won the SEC that week.
How good were they with Drew Lock?
Yeah, I think it was... Yeah, it was probably around when Drew Lock got there, yeah.
But that was 2017 or something, right?
Oh, was it?
That must have been later, yeah. Maybe they
were good with Drew Lock, though. Well, Drew Lock, I think he was a 4-year guy, right?
Could be.
He came into the league in around 2020 or 2019. So, yeah, it was either when Drew Lock first got there or right before. But they were really good then, and they're really good now. I mean, they are a really good team. They were ranked number 12 for a reason. I think they should have stayed at number 12 because they played that well against the number 1 team, at least in the AP poll. I know the college football ranking poll does not quite agree with the AP. They put Ohio State at number 1, which I don't agree with at all. Even if you go to the computer simulation, I think Ohio State is like number 4 in the country. But the playoff committee loves Ohio State, so they're going to put them up there whenever they can, which is fine by me. Georgia plays better whenever they are expected to lose. And the thing about that game against Missouri is they were not really in doubt of losing that game. It almost looked exactly like you would expect number 12 to play number 1. They played well. They scored. But they just couldn't quite pull it off in the end. When Georgia turned on, they stepped on the gas and ended up taking care of business. But Missouri is a really good team. Other than that, I'm afraid of Oregon. If Georgia does make it to the playoffs, which I'm still afraid of Alabama at this point because we know how the history goes with Alabama. I imagine we're going to see Georgia versus Alabama in the SEC championship at this point. Unless Ole Miss... no, I think Georgia would have to lose twice to miss out on the SEC. Probably not going to happen, so that's probably the matchup we're going to get once again for like the 3,000th time. I'm not so sure that we can just roll over Alabama like we would have in the past 2 years. Alabama looks really good now that their quarterback is figuring it out. Jalen Milroe has gotten better over the past 4 or 5 games, and he really turned it on against LSU and ran for 4 touchdowns, was the most running touchdowns ever by an Alabama quarterback. Even Jalen Hurts wasn't capable of doing that. Yeah, he pulled that off. Not much of a passer, though, so they're not going to beat Georgia through the passing game. But if they run on him, Georgia's defensive line is not as good as it used to be. He will be able to run on them. But back to Oregon, I still think Oregon is the best team in the country. I think Oregon has a chance to beat all of the top 5 teams right now. I think they're going to beat Washington in the championship. I think they could beat Florida State fairly easily, in my opinion. They have a good chance to beat Ohio State, Michigan, and Georgia because I think the team is just that good. They had that one stumble against Washington, But this team is really good, and they are stomping out their division mates and everybody that gets in their path other than Washington. They're going to win that championship. I'll put money on it right now that Oregon wins the Pac-12 championship and goes through the playoffs. But who are you going to get behind this week and watch them lose?
Oh, I have to curse a team, I guess. Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, man. James Madison has held on for another week. Oh, and by the way, we have another undefeated team. We have ranked number 25, Liberty.
Oh, Liberty made it into the top 25.
And ranked for the first time in forever with a chance to win. Is it the time I get behind James Madison just yet?
I mean, if you want him to lose this week.
I don't want him to lose. I want them to to go undefeated and see what happens.
Yeah, because there's Power 5 teams, there's non-Power 5 teams, and then there's teams like James Madison. Like, even though they technically play with the big boys, they're not getting recruits. They're playing out there with 2 and 3 stars compared to a lot of 5 stars on Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State. So it would be something to see them go completely undefeated and see how high they make it up the list. I doubt they make it to the top 4. But, they might get a New Year's Six Bowl if they pull that off.
Very unlikely. I think I'll go and curse Texas this week in that case.
Yeah,
because they're still somehow ranked above Bama for no good reason other than they beat Bama head to head. But they just had a big struggle fest against Kansas State. They're playing TCU. They were in a championship game last season. Doubt that that's going to be an issue for Texas, but that's the team I would like to curse this week. Bama train is not completely stopped, but I'm still always... I reserve the right to jump on the Oregon and or a James Madison train whenever I see fit.
I don't know. I'm kind of scared of Oregon, so maybe you should get back behind them.
I won't do that before either Alabama loses another game or they beat Washington.
All right. I think they're
if Oregon makes the playoff and Bama doesn't, I will definitely get on the Oregon train.
Yeah.
Before that, I will not do that, but I do like the team.
Yeah, if you're listening right now, I'm not telling you to vote on Oregon, but I think it's a good bet if you're going to vote on or bet on Oregon to win the Pac-12 and make it into the playoffs, because that team is super scary. Dan Lanning is a really good coach. I wish he was still the defensive coordinator for Georgia, or offensive coordinator. No, defensive, sorry. I wish he was still the defensive coordinator for Georgia, because he was a really great defensive coordinator. He put together 3 seasons of top 2 and 3. I think he even had the number 1 defense in the country at one point. Yeah, that team is scary. They're gonna be there in the playoffs.
No, you think I could curse Washington here this week?
Yeah, you could.
Because that would help a lot. They're playing 2 dangerous teams back to back now, and they just about got by USC.
Yeah. Who's having a down spot in their season.
Yeah. I'm gonna curse Washington. That's what I'm gonna do. There you go. If not this week, they're gonna lose to Oregon State, and then everything's good. The Ducks make it in, and Texas loses, Washington loses, Bama's going to be 5th ranked or something like that, and all the possibilities are open.
I feel like Florida State's going to take a loss before the end of the season.
Yeah, I think so?
I mean, they've had some rough games. But then again, so is Georgia, and I don't think they're going to lose until the SEC championship. So, I don't know. Maybe they can pull it through. I think they still have to play Clemson and Florida.
They already played Clemson, but Florida they do.
No, Florida's, I think, their last game of the season usually. Yeah. Rivalry week.
They got the U this week, then North Alabama, and then Florida.
Well, they could... Miami looked good early in the season. They were actually ranked in probably the top 10 at their highest, but they've fallen off lately. If Miami does pull that up, it's going to mean no playoffs for Florida State. And
yeah, I agree with that. This is a team that can't afford to lose a game. If they lose one, I think they're out.
Yeah, absolutely. They just don't have the previous wins in seasons past. to warrant staying up there after a loss.
Yeah, this is the one team that can't afford a loss, where most of the teams at the top can.
Oh, how great would it be to get a rematch of 2014, though? Oregon versus Florida State in the first round.
Oh, that'd be great. Mariota and Jameis.
Yeah.
I remember that. That was a great one.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's an amazing game. I'd love to see that, but that is not happening.
It's possible.
Highly doubted. It is
Michigan
possible.
or Ohio State is going to have
by
a loss by the end of the season. That's a definite.
Yeah. They still might both make it in, though.
True, they did last year. Yeah.
Even then, yeah.
But if there's
Have
another
to get by that.
another team that is undefeated, it's going to be much harder.
That's true.
Hopefully, Georgia
true,
doesn't
right?
pull the 2021 route and let Alabama get in, because Sankey really wants 2 SEC teams in that playoff like he does every year. And whenever we can see a spot to get both of them in, that game is going to exactly go that way to get both SEC teams in.
Let's do it. I mean, I'm down for that.
Oh, I'm sure you are.
looks good to me. Georgia, Bama, and then fill it up with, I don't know, Oregon and Michigan. That would, I guess, be my dream seeding.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I think in that case, we would end up having yet another Georgia versus Alabama national championship
possible.
game. And the rest of the country who are not SEC fans will be really mad once again.
What would be the seeding, though, for Alabama? Would they be 4th seed?
Yeah, I think they'll probably end up knocking... Well, if Bama wins the SEC championship with 1 loss, they're going to end up at number 3. Georgia will drop to number 4.
Yeah. Wait, do you think Georgia drops to 4?
I think so.
Also, the winner of Michigan Ohio State will be 1?
Yes.
Yeah.
The winner of that's going to go in at number 1. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then
Georgia.
if Georgia,
4.
yeah,
possible.
Yeah, I think it'll be almost a replay of 2021. Maybe
don't see me complaining.
Add Oregon instead of Cincinnati, of course.
Yeah, exactly. I think it'd be even better. Well, we'll see it. We'll see how it happens anyway. So there's some good games coming up. Georgia has got, I think, a tough game coming up. Ole Miss is the best opponent they faced all year.
Yes, and it will be until the championship.
Yeah, that is correct. So we'll see. A lot of things can happen. I'm always down for an upset. But back to the NFL. Do you have anything to add for this one? For this week,
I think that's it for this week.
And the NFL. Okay, we have a lot of disagreements, a lot of action. Reminder again to go vote for your favorite to win the NFL MVP if the season ended today on our channel community page. Let us know who you think is probably the favorite. Also, drop us a comment under this video. Tell us what you pick, your predictions, and what is your what do you disagree with? Maybe someone has the Giants or something. I'd love to see that. Maybe fill the guru role because I didn't dare to for this one. But let us know what you think about these games. Give us a like, and we'll see you in the next one.
Deuces.
Check the scoreboard. Ha.